that's why I love looking at competitor data, because that gives you more of a max and a min, and you kind of can do whatever you want in between. But do you go about doing something similar when it comes to keywords and looking at maybe keywords you didn't think about before or long tail keywords?
Yeah, well, so you know, on the kids apps, there are four main. There are four main. Yeah, we've got four main kids apps. We've got Playtime Island, which is like a generic children's gaming app. We've got Go Explore, which is like more educationally focused. We've got Get Creative, which is sort of like drawing and painting and all that sort of stuff. And then we've got Storytime, which is for stories. So you can imagine those are four, even though they're all in children's, they're all four distinct propositions within that. And that means that, the competitor profile for each one of those is very different, and it's very, very wide, because it means that in some cases you are competing against, other global brands that are also targeting the kids market, but then you're also going against, smaller apps which are maybe just camping, which are offering one kind of experience, just camping one kind of keyword. And I would definitely say, in the exploration of that and sort of mapping all those competitors and sorting them into like, oh yeah, this is a giant corporate, this is a smaller app that's just targeting one keyword. In that process, like the number of keyword ideas I got for each one of them, but also for the kids space as a whole, was like incredibly profitable. Like I'd never thought for Get Creative, which is the drawing app, to use Doodle as a core keyword, and it turns out that it's as important as draw. And again, this is probably specific to the BBC, but the BBC, there's this there's this it's called Reithian idea that we're meant to be like proper, and do things properly. So traditionally we wouldn't use a word like doodle, but you've got to speak as your audience does and use the language that they are using. And so the competitor intelligence is very useful in that regard, to be like, look, I know it's unconventional for us, but maybe we should consider Doodle.
Interesting. How have you found? Why did you decide to try Doodle? Did you just put it into just to see data and get data out of it, or did you see competitors do it?
I saw a large number of competitors have it in their subtitle, and then once I started down the Doodle path, I found that there were the competition for that keyword for apps that we in some way were really competing with was surprisingly fierce. So
Interesting. I mean, it does make sense, because Doodle and Draw are just different ways people would talk about this. And I know in my experience, people tend to have sometimes different vocabulary than the one I have. And so I would expect something to work, and maybe it does. And that's why I always look at competitors, because if you look at something, that a theory that you had in your mind and it works, you don't look at other things. I don't look at other things sometimes until I get to that report and I say, okay, let's see what others are doing, because maybe I'm wrong. And I'll find weird combinations that I never thought of. And sometimes they're really popular too.
Yeah. Well, that similarly, like until like one example of that is that I never realized that people, not loads, but again, it's a significant long tail keyword, is that in the kids space, people really differentiate by children's age. So, like age 3, age 4, age 5, or apps for 5-year-olds. And until I'd done the keyword research and was checking the competitors, I never would have thought that that's because you just and I don't have a child of that age. So I was just like, oh yeah, kids, you just search for kids, but no, you're actually thinking far more specifically in those terms. So yeah.